All right, everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Voices United, our podcast at United Way of Citrus County. Obviously, this is a very special edition. I'm sitting here with America's Sheriff, Grady Judd.
Thank you very much for saying that.
I appreciate it. Where did that first come from, America's Sheriff? I went to the fount of all knowledge.
Right.
ChatGPT,
right,
to try to find where that came from. The best that they could come up with is that just occurred gradually over time.
Well, I said it about myself often enough that
I did read that too.
Caught on.
I did read that too.
No, I actually did not say that, but I couldn't resist the opportunity for a little levity. So I don't know, but it is an honor to be the sheriff of Polk County and to be able to protect people and serve people. That fills my soul.
Yeah. Well, I want to mention it's classic Grady Judd style here.
All right.
I've got some pictures here.
That's important.
Yes, it is. So we met for the first time next door at a United Way of Central Florida event.
Okay.
So we saw you in the lobby, Madeline and I. Madeline's
right.
sitting right off to the side here. And she said, let's go find him. We looked around the lobby. We couldn't find you. We lost sight of you. Then we came onto the floor. We saw you there. And we came up to you, and you were so kind and gracious. You were actually taller than I thought you were for some reason. I have no idea why that is.
Well, you know, on television, I'm only about this tall.
That's right.
You see.
That's right.
In real life, I'm a little taller.
That's right. And you were so kind and gracious to us. So here's the picture. Here's the picture of us.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good one. In fact, this is hanging up in our conference room.
Really?
At our office. Yep, absolutely. And so a few weeks ago for this podcast, we interviewed Sheriff David Vincent.
Right.
New sheriff in Citrus County.
Wonderful man.
Wonderful guy. I've known him for over 20 years. Fantastic guy. He's going to do great as sheriff in Citrus County. And I said to Madeline, among other jobs now, she's the booker for our podcast. I said, we've got to get Sheriff Grady Judd on if that's possible. So she sent off an email, and we thought that this would actually become maybe her mugshot for...
I have one that looks a lot like that, except she's wearing orange.
Yes. Now, Madeline was best dressed in high school. Her peers voted her that.
Yes.
I think she doesn't want to be in orange, but we thought that she might actually get an injunction for stalking you to get you to come on our podcast. But it didn't happen. Your staff, before you know it, responded back, and here we are, and we're really grateful.
Well, we love United Way. United Way helps so many people in so many ways. And here in Polk County, we actually have a pamphlet that we give out when people are getting out of jail or when we go to their homes and they're having problems. And this pamphlet talks about all the services United Way does. Y'all are just tremendous, and I want to help any way that I can.
Well, we appreciate that. And aside from Dave Vincent, Sheriff Vincent, I also bring greetings from our county administrator, Steve Howard.
Yes.
So I saw Steve last week, and he told me that he worked for you for 5 years on the business end of things. He said he saved you a ton of money.
He absolutely did.
That's what he told me. And he also was proud to say that I think it might have been 2002 Civilian of the Year. Maybe it was before that.
Yes.
But he was Civilian of the Year. And so I bring greetings from Steve Howard.
Steve Howard is a remarkable person. I did my best to keep him with us. He was one of my directors because he's so intelligent and so talented and has such great personality. But I knew that people would be clamoring to get him as their county manager or county administrator because he had that much talent.
You got any dirt on him?
Not a bit, but I would like to have some if you can figure it out.
I'd like to have some too. I've known him now for a little while. Great guy. I think that, some people have skeletons in their closet.
Yes.
I think if you open up his, it's like the Hallelujah chorus just starts playing. Seems like a fantastic guy. So you're at year 53.
That's right.
I think as of July, if I'm right.
That's correct. I started when I was 5.
Obviously.
Or almost 5.
Yes.
In the vicinity, maybe 18 or something.
Yeah, and I was nowhere near even being born, if that's the case. That's for sure. So 53 years here in this agency. Now, you're the longest running sheriff. 5 terms was a record. Now you're at 6 terms.
Yes.
That's a record.
Longest serving sheriff in Polk County.
Yep. has anyone worked for the agency longer than 53 years?
Not consecutively. One of our secretaries came to work in 61, and we worked together, and she retired out after about 30 years and stayed retired for a few years. And I talked her into coming back part-time. So she probably still has me, if you count her part-time and her full-time. She probably had 55, 56 years altogether, but that's the closest one. And it broke my heart when she decided at about 80 years old she wanted to retire, because she still could outwork a lot younger people in this agency. She's always been remarkable.
So when you started, you were not even old enough to buy ammunition.
Well, no, I wasn't old enough to be a deputy. I was only 18. They started me in communications, and then they changed the legal age from 21 to 18, and they said you could be in law enforcement at 19, okay? So Sheriff Brannon, who hired me, put me through the academy at 19, but they didn't pay for your firearm, or they didn't provide your firearm or your ammunition. You had to provide that yourself. Well, the federal firearms law didn't back up to 18. It stayed at 21. So I had to have my dad buy my handgun and my ammunition so that I could police.
Wow. So at 27, you became a captain.
I did.
And everyone that you managed at that point was older than you.
Everyone.
So when I started my career, I started working in a maximum security juvenile justice facility in Citrus County.
Right.
And I started at 21. 9 days after my 21st birthday, you had to be 21 to work there.
Sure.
We kept youthful offenders there until their 21st birthday, which was really interesting, telling kids to go to bed and when to get up that were just 5, 6 months younger than me. I quickly got promoted, and then everyone above me was like old enough to be my parent.
Right.
What was that like for you at 27 years old in the law enforcement business to be managing folks that were older than you like that?
There was a great deal of jealousy. And you can imagine in the law enforcement world, we're kind of type A people, in control people. So now there's a 27-year-old kid telling a 40-year-old deputy that, hey, go here, do that, we need this report, why is your report late? There was a lot of challenges there. And, you know, I tried to use my personality and win them over, and I did win most of them over, but there was a few of them that I had to use my authority on, and they were difficult. But I'm here and they're not, so it worked. But I can tell you that if you work with people instead of making them feel like they work for you, good things happen. And that's what I always try to do, is work with everyone. And that's what I do today.
Was that a common thing for someone to be 27 years old and promoted to captain?
Not at all. Not at all. I was blessed. I went to college part-time, nights and weekends. So when it came time to take promotional exams, sergeant and lieutenant and captain, I had experience taking examinations. It was a rare thing for people to go to college. They called me the college kid back in the day. So I knew how to take tests, and I excelled in that. And I was a hard worker. I didn't let a clock get in the way. It wasn't 8 hours into the house. I worked until the job was done. I went above and beyond. And if they needed somebody to work a special detail and they called, I came out and did it. So between my energy, my enthusiasm, my dedication, my personality, and the ability to take tests, I was able to work my way to captain pretty rapidly.
So you were first elected sheriff in 2004.
Yes.
And at the time, you were, I found a quote where you said that you are first a sheriff.
Right.
But maybe even more importantly, that you are a police administrator.
Right.
So what's the difference between a sheriff and a police administrator?
Well, let's take it a step further. I'm first a cop. I'm a street cop. That's who I am. I started as in communications, and then a deputy and a corporal and a sergeant and a lieutenant and a captain, a major, and then a colonel. So I'm a cop. And then the next job is I'm a police administrator by nature of the duties and responsibilities of the office of sheriff. And the sheriff and the deputy, here's the main difference. Deputies work for the sheriff, okay? So until I was elected sheriff, I worked for the sheriff's office. When I got elected sheriff, the sheriff's office works for me. So the elected sheriff gives the authority, according to state constitution, for all the deputies to do their job. And that's the difference. So I am a law enforcement officer. I am a peace officer. I'm a cop first. I'm an elected sheriff, and I love being sheriff of Polk County. I love waking up every day knowing I'm going to help people and knowing that bad guys are going to go to jail. And then as a police administrator, I learned that along the way. And in fact, I taught it in college and taught that along the way internally. And now as sheriff, I am coaching every day the wonderful men and women that work with me at the sheriff's office.
I think that you are the most media savvy public servant that I've probably ever seen. Maybe if I was thinking about it on the ride over here today, about my algorithm, it's basically you and Senator John Kennedy.
Oh, I love him.
Oh, I love him too, right? I just fantastic listening to him. And he's Southern, like we are, and folksy,
Yes.
and always gets his point across, though, and in a way that's endearing, regardless of what the point is.
Right.
You just want to like the guy. And I think that people just want to like you as well. And of course they do. I mean, listen, every time you get elected, it's like 90 some odd percent that you get elected by. I think the last one might have been like 80 some odd percent. I don't know if you were slipping, but that was amazing.
I was almost 84%.
There you go.
It's the first time I've had a named opponent on a partisan ticket. We used to run nonpartisan, now we run partisan. So I was almost 84% on a partisan ticket, and that's not bad. But
well, that's really good.
But
in our divisive times that we live in now.
Sure, I'm looking real hard at that 16% to see how I can win their heart and soul for the next election.
What have you come up with?
Yeah.
What have you come up with? How'd you miss them?
Just be nice and work harder. And I guess I arrested their mom and daddy or something. I don't know.
Probably so. Probably so. So I think that when I watch a press conference, whether it's local sheriff, local police, all the way up to FBI, most of the time when I turn off the television, in fact, I might just turn it off halfway through because I start to get frustrated.
Sure.
It usually leaves me thinking, why do we even have a press conference today?
Absolutely.
Your press conferences are very different. Why is that? What is your strategy there?
Well, first and foremost, my strategy is to make sure that everyone knows that we're going to be transparent and we're going to release everything that we possibly can. Now, there's a few things you have to hold back on major investigations, so only you and the suspect knows. But we're transparent about the event. And it really bothers me, too, when you watch a press conference and you have the chief or the FBI director or representative, or maybe the union rep said, we have had a suspect who we call a person of interest, who we believe is the perpetrator. However, there's not sufficient evidence to appropriately make a charge, but we're investigating the case. And and people about 3 sentences into that go, bah.
It's like a bunch of bureaucratic speak.
Yeah, and they've not said anything.
Right.
Here's what I tell folks. I tell folks when we do one of these live, the shooting just happened, ladies and gentlemen, anything I tell you today is subject to change and probably will change. But I'm telling you what we know right now, so you know instantly what's occurring. And then the way I try to communicate is like I'm sitting on the couch with them in their home and carrying on a conversation. And then I try to tell it in a story format. Do you know why? Most every child in the United States, probably in the world, I'm sure, was raised at the knee of their mama and daddy, at least the good mamas and daddies, being told stories and read to. So I'm trying to communicate with the people who I love, the people of Polk County, in a way that they understand. And that's the way I learned, was with my mother and father reading to me or telling me stories. So what I'm telling the community is in the same way that I believe they learned as a young child. And I want to be interesting. And if I have to be entertaining to get people's attention so that they can look out for bad guys so that they can be safe, I'll do that too.
Yeah, you definitely, I think sometimes I learn new things from you. Like, I think I saw one of your morning briefings where you were talking about you got a criminal's drip.
Right.
You got their drip.
Got their drip. I had their gold chain.
Yeah.
Their $50,000 gold chain, their drip.
If that's not drip, I don't know what is.
Oh, yeah. That was a group where we did a search warrant, a bunch of search warrants after we did wiretaps on this really big organized group of drug dealers. And we ran through them like Sherman through Georgia. Now, I'm just telling you right now, and got to arrest all of them, you know. And at the end of the day, they're all locked up in the jail. It is amazing.
Right where they belong.
Right where they belong. But they asked for it. They did it. We just obliged them. You know, you wanted to go to jail, you sold drugs, so we put you in jail.
Yeah, that's one thing that you're very consistent about. I told you when I worked at the juvenile justice facility, we had a statement, and it went like this: you choose the act, you choose the consequence.
Right.
And that's what we would tell the young men if they acted up.
That's fantastic.
No, you chose to do that. You chose that consequence. And I've heard you say, if a deputy has to get loud and raise their voice with you, you chose for them to do that. If they have to pepper spray you, you chose to get pepper spray.
Absolutely.
If they had to taser you, you chose that. If they have to pull their firearm out, you chose that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Our job as law enforcement officers is to deliver customer service with a sense of urgency, to be honest, ethical, and moral all of the time, and talk to and treat people like we want our mother talked to and treated. And if we have to talk stern, or we have to use chemical agent, or we have to wrestle people down, or whatever force we're forced to use, they make us do that. That's not what we want to do. We want to come to work every day and be a peace-loving group of people.
That's why you're called peace officers.
That's why we're called peace officers.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've seen some, undoubtedly, you've seen some terrible things in 53 years as a law enforcement officer. That's for sure. But you seem so joyful. Mm-hmm. I would say, even if we're talking about drip and some of the other stuff you said, I think I learned from you recently the difference between being naked and buck naked.
Oh, yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference between those two things. I was wondering what it was, but you quickly explained it. Naked is if you have your socks on, potentially.
Right.
You might have some article of clothes. Buck naked is you have nothing on.
You have nothing on.
Nothing going on.
Buck naked is no clothes.
Yeah. I found a quote from your wife, Marissa, and you've been married 53 years.
53 years, yes. If she's still there when I get there tonight.
I have a feeling.
Sometimes it's moment to moment. I get on her good nerve occasionally, but
I have a feeling she'll be there.
Oh my goodness, she is my hero. She makes every day perfect.
That's awesome.
And I aggravate her.
I bet you do.
She aggravates me. Because she doesn't fuss back when I think she should. Are you sure we want that for dinner? She said, I'm having it for dinner. You can have what you want. She's wonderful. I cut up with her. We have a good time. We laugh. We've laughed for 53 years.
Well, let me ask. I was going to ask this later, but let me ask you now. So my daughter, Trinity, she's going to love that I'm asking this. She and her fiancé, Alex, he is a fantastic human being. They're going to get married in February.
Great.
February 7th.
Wow. Couldn't
be more happy about this. He's 22. She'll be just a week shy of 22. Great kids. What's your piece of advice to them as they embark on married life together?
Listen and love and don't fight. When there's going to be times, I tell folks, you either grow together or you grow apart. Because we're not the same people after 50 years of marriage that we were at 40 or 30 or 20, but we grew together because we listen, we love each other. And then if somebody's having a bad moment, and that happens, either absorb it or go out on the back porch and read a book. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you don't have to be competitive in the home. You know, I see so many people want to be competitive. They want to one-up their spouse. You're supposed to lift up your spouse. You pray for them every day. You pray for their energy and their enthusiasm. And she makes me happy every day of my life. And, you know, she was my high school sweetheart. And I love her a little more today than I did yesterday, and a little more yesterday than I did the day before. And that love has built over our entire life together. And it works. But if you start trying to compete, one person won't fit in the lane at the time, but only one person will fit in the lane at a time. So if you start head bumping each other in the lane, that's not good.
Well, she's excited about me sitting here with you today, so she will definitely hear that message. And I know it'd be important for them to hear that.
And the sooner that he learns that she's the boss of the family, it'll work on.
Happy wife, happy life. You subscribe to that?
I do that. I mean, happy, that's right, because, you know, I get to supervise all day long. When I go home, I don't want to supervise anymore.
Yeah.
She runs the house, I run the business. And I do everything I can to make her happy. What do you want? There was times when we had nothing. We were just poor government employees. We had nothing. And I've seen times that she went to the store and bought me a shirt, the kids' clothes, and bought herself nothing. Well, now that's changed. We've got disposable income. And if she hints that she wants something, I buy her 2 of them.
Smart man. I know your faith is important to you, and I'll tell you, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's, his murder, his assassination, I see a lot of public servants speaking about their faith.
Finally.
Yes, and you've done that for a long time.
All the time.
And I know that you've said that with all the wrong that's in the world, all the evil that's in the world, you just got to have faith in God to just kind of keep your sanity. I'm paraphrasing here what I've heard you say before. Has there ever been a time where you've shooken your fist at God, though?
No.
Never.
Never. Never. God's in control, total control. I have faith that there's been things that have crushed my soul. I lost a grandbaby. Mm-hmm. I've lost a daughter-in-law to cancer. But I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe it's His will. We don't understand it, but I've never lost my faith. I've never lost my true north beacon. And I believe that the reason that I have been successful in my marriage, in my life, with my kids, with my job, is I'm in God's mission field trying to do what He wants me to do every day. And I love it. And it makes life so easy. The decisions are easy. You know, sometimes the decision's hard, but it's easy. Either it's right or it's not right. You know, we don't fuzz it around here. So it's being a Christian is big time to me. But I respect everyone's faith. But if you don't have faith in some religion, if you don't understand that there is a bigger person, there is a God, there is a creator, then you're a lost soul. And if you wonder why you're miserable today, it's because you don't have your life in order. Your God's got to be first. Your family's got to be second. Your work's got to be third, and you got to be fourth. When you figure out you're fourth in line, not first in line, and you accept that Jesus is your Savior if you're a Christian, or that you believe in God if you're of other faiths, life gets really good. But you got to make it happen because, see, All the good that happens in the world and all the bad that happens in the world happens between your ears. It's how you handle it and how you manage it. And to me, my faith and belief in God makes it easy to handle some very difficult days in this job. Some very difficult days that I don't understand. But it's awesome.
It sounds like you're saying the sure path to ruin is to make yourself the main character.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're not first. You're not first in this world. God's first. Then you've got to put your family next. If it's not God and then your family, you're on the wrong path. You're going the wrong way. Now, you can disagree with me, but you're just wrong. It's all right. I don't have to live your life. You don't have to live my life. You want to be a miserable soul, it's okay with me.
Yeah.
But I'm not miserable.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
You come across as very happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes every day fun.
I've got very short time here. I got two more questions.
Sure.
Would you mind just sharing with us the Polk Sheriff's Charity?
Right.
What that's all about and the impact y'all are making in the community.
Well, Polk Sheriff's Charity, we raise between $350,000 and $450,000 a year after taxes, and our goal is to look out for those that are less fortunate. Our goal in Polk County, a county of over 850,000, is no child wakes up on Christmas morning without a present. We partner with other charities that provide Christmas gifts. And we do really, really, really well with that. We make sure that we take care of those in the community that need help. There is one organization that accepts ladies out of prison and jail. Well, we pay the lease. I think it's lease to purchase the building. Because you see, those people that we put in jail, I pray for them every day. I want them to get out of jail and do well and never come back and prosper. So we help them. So our charity all started when Matt and DOG were shot and killed. People were sending money, wanted to help. Well, government just can't take money in just willy-nilly. That's not the way it works. So we set up a charity. And from that day to this, if deputies hit on a hard time, for example, I had one deputy during one of the hurricanes was living in a mobile home, and it blew his mobile home to pieces, and we helped him. So we have this charity that helps those that are in need, whether they are inside the organization or outside the organization, and we literally do remarkable work there. Now, see, God rewards what's good. So when we started this, then some of these big box warehouses, they would have what we would call damaged products. Or they couldn't sell it at retail because they knocked it over with maybe some kind of equipment in a warehouse. So they said, hey, if you'll take this and repurpose it to charity and promise never to tell who we are, but help people along life's way, we'll do good with you. They give us truckloads of stuff, millions of dollars that we push back out into the community every year, because God looks out for those who look out for his flock, and that's everyone. And I can tell you, even though we arrest people, I disapprove of what they did, but they're God's children, and I'm going to look out and help them and their children. So I'll close with this. We, in the process of making sure children got presents, I said, let's go to the ladies that are going to be in the jail over Christmas. And let's ask them, do you have juveniles at home that you're not going to be with on Christmas Day? And they, of course, say yes. Well, are they going to have the appropriate Christmas with you in here? And most said no. So we said, if you'll give us your children's name, and whether they're male or female and their age, we'll make sure that they have age-appropriate gifts, and we'll have deputies take those gifts to your home. But we won't tell them it's from the sheriff's office or from the deputy. We'd say, hey, your mom's going to be spending some time with us. So she wanted us to make sure that we got this present that she got for you so you'd have it Christmas morning.
So important. It came from her.
It has to come from Mom, not us.
Yeah.
Do you know almost all of the ladies, with very few exceptions, even though they're locked up in our jail for whatever transgression, participate in that? And we're excited to help. We are excited to help because, you see, we write tickets, we put bad guys in jail, and if somebody needs to go to jail, I find some enjoyment with that. Mm-hmm. But I find more enjoyment when they turn their life around. And I find a lot of enjoyment when I come to work every day. At some point in time during the day, someone's going to call me and say, Sheriff, I need help. And we're going to say, okay, how do we get you help? How do we get there? And that is the exciting part about this job. And that's what United Way does.
Yeah, and I love that big box store was also adhering to biblical principles there. The Bible says to not let your left hand know what your right is doing. And
that's right.
Giving, and they're blessed for that. One last question, be really, really quick. You said you have your own drop program.
I do.
12 years ago, I found this quote from you. You said, I've got my own drop program, referring to retirement.
Right.
You said you want to be the sheriff of Polk County until you drop. Eventually, everyone drops.
Sure.
And when you drop, how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I told folks, I said, I keep asking, why don't you retire? Why don't you retire? Well, this is my happy place. I wake up before the alarm goes off most mornings to come to work. This fills my soul. This is my mission field. I believe this is where God wants me. So I tell folks, you can tell when I'm leaving and they said, well, how? I said, well, there'll be a big red fire truck out front. They said, yeah. And I said, you'll see them bring me out in a pine box. And they go, yeah. And I said, and they put me on a fire truck. And they said, why a fire truck? And I said, I don't know. I always wanted to ride on a fire truck. So as long as I'm healthy, we're moving the agency forward, we're serving the people, we're making a positive difference, and the people will let me work. I love to work. And it fills my soul, and I just appreciate the ability to make a difference in people's lives. So that's kind of my philosophy about when and how. And if I leave out of here toes first, that'd be wonderful.
So you're a man that is going to be remembered as a man that was on a mission, on his mission, ordained by God.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I cannot begin to tell you how it satisfies my soul to be able to help people who need help. There's a lot of people that need help, and other people can't help them. But we can help them. And not only can we help them through our charities, but we're hooked into United Way and all the other wonderful community groups. We all work together. And I tell folks, in Polk County, I don't know everyone, but I know somebody that knows everyone. Mm-hmm. So we'll get you the help and support that you need. And just think about it. When I go to bed tonight, tired, and I'm having a little trouble going to sleep. Some people usually count sheep, right? Jumping over the fence to help them go to sleep, to calm them down. When I'm calming down, I'm counting people going in the county jail tonight. So it works out.
Perfect. American Sheriff, the great
Thank you very much.
Grady Judd.
It's my honor.
I appreciate it so much.
Yes.
Thank you for the time.
All right.